All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. My name is Kate Wade, and I am the CEO of Get Her Hired. If you haven't been with us before, we do this series of webinars every couple of weeks, looking at different topics that really matter to the clients that we're working with. And one of the things that has been coming up over and over again recently is looking at about sections. So I don't know if you have an about section, maybe you don't have an about section. Maybe it's something you're thinking about writing or updating. You're not sure if it's working well for you or not. We're going to get into all of that today and answer all your questions. And so just so you know, let me do a quick note. You can add your questions in the chat. They will just go to the hosts. So you will be anonymous. We will not say your name, so you can ask any question you want. You can also use the Q&A function if you know how to use that for Zoom webinars. So we're so glad you're here today. Let me go back over and just make sure I'm presenting everything. All right, perfect. Okay. So what we're talking about is your LinkedIn about section. A lot of people come to us and they tell us about how, high pressure this is, or how they see, CEOs about sections that are really brief, or they see some people's about sections that look like their resume. Maybe they see like two sentences. Frequently, I see about two sentences that is not really doing anything for people's about sections. So I want to go through what it is, why it matters, how to use it, how we're going to balance your personality and your professionalism, which is really hard for me because I'm trying to be more professional in my life now because my personality definitely likes to come out a little bit more and play. But then how do we do it so it really sounds like us with while being strategic, okay? We definitely don't want to sound like a robot. So if any of you have had AI write your about section, you're going to get some great new ideas here on how to change that today, still using AI, but just using it in a different method. Let me see. I just want to check. Cecilia, can you tell me, do you see the deck that I'm sharing right now?
I can
I'm so
what we're covering.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just wanted to make sure that that was showing up. Great. Okay. So we want to talk a little bit about the psychology behind this. I'm going to give you a practical framework to use. You're going to walk away with a more effective about section. And then at the end, if you stay at the end, you're going to get a really important bonus tip to make sure that recruiters are getting the best information about you and from you that's based on who you are now, not who you were in the past. Okay. So let's get into a couple of questions. I've built out a couple of questions just to see where everyone is in the thing in this so far. So I'm launching this poll question, and again, it's going to be anonymous, but I just want to get a feel for how do you currently feel about your LinkedIn about section? Are you obsessed with it? You're getting the Pulitzer for it? Is it a cursed family heirloom? I just kind of want to see how that's feeling and going for you right now. And it looks like we've got a few people, about half the people have replied. And I'll just tell you that what we're seeing is that no one is obsessed with their about section. Okay. So it needs help. It's fine, probably, which means like, yeah, it needs a little bit of work. And so I'm so glad you're here today for this because we're going to be working on this today. Um, so another question for you all, when you're trying to write about yourself professionally, what usually happens? We have seen this happen to so many good women, so many good people. Answer away here. We're getting some good participation in this one because it's difficult to talk about ourselves. That's why what we do at Get Her Hired is so important. We hold up the mirror to the Mona Lisa and we share, hey, you're brilliant. Let us help you talk about it, because it's hard for us to talk about ourselves sometimes. So we can see a lot of people are saying, I get weird in corporate, I use 400 words, I'm very unspecific, I rewrite the same sentence 19 times. We're here for that. We've been there too. That is really what we see as well. Okay. So you're not alone if that's how you're feeling about your LinkedIn about section. Let's see. Next question for you, an easy one. What's the hardest thing about writing your about section? Is it knowing what to say, talking about myself, making it sound like me? What do recruiters care about? So, what we're here doing today really is talking about the job search. So if you're in job search mode, you definitely want to be someone who's optimizing the about section for that recruiter. So let me show the results here. And a lot of people are saying knowing what to say, making it sound like me, and again, finding out what recruiters actually care about. And that's true. It's a bit of a mystery. It's a bit of a mystery. We're going to unveil, we're going to kind of like pull back the curtain on this, because it's not really, it shouldn't be a mystery. We're going to take that away today. And you can go and tell all your friends and family about how to do this. So my next question, what gets in your way? What gets in your way when you're writing your about section? So for some people, I actually had a male client I was talking with yesterday, and he said to me, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. And so this does happen to men too, you guys. He didn't want to sound arrogant in some of the materials. And here's my point on anyone who's worried about sounding arrogant. If it's a fact, it's not arrogant as a fact. Okay. So if you did something, you're not going to be sounding arrogant. If your motivation is to manipulate someone into thinking you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you don't actually have the receipts to back it up, then yeah, it might be arrogant. Okay, so let's share what people are seeing here. So getting in the way, sounding arrogant, perfectionism, appealing to everyone, not knowing my angle. Okay, the inner critic, all of these things, very common, very normal. And we're gonna get over that today. And then my final question for you all, and I know this is a lot, and I appreciate you being involved in this, but it's really good for me to understand what's happening for you right now, what might be in the way. So if your about section changed, what would it do for you? Like if you could change your about section, what do you think would be better? It would stop underselling you. If it stopped underselling you, what would change? Okay. So it's really important that we think about this. So that will help you figure out the goal that you might have today. And now this is very interesting. I'm going to end this poll and share this with you. And what you have shared, those who are on the call here live, is that people understand your value faster and you stop making yourself smaller. Okay. So we definitely want to get into people understanding your value faster and stop making yourself smaller. Before I go further, I just want to remind you that if you have questions, you can post. Oh, go away, my my antivirus just helpfully sprung up in a little dialogue window right in the middle of this conversation with you all. Thank you, antivirus. So if you have questions, you can put them down in the Q&A, or you can put them in the chat. And just so you know, it only is going to come to the hosts and panelists. And so you'll be anonymous. So please go ahead and ask away on your questions at any point, and we'll get to them as we go. So a couple things about your about section. First of all, you get to use 2,600 characters in it. And some people first say to me that it should be shorter, or wow, I don't know how I could write 2,600 characters about me. Okay, so let's just put that out there and definitely leave that 2,600 number out there. That's how many characters you get to write about yourself. But I want to go back to something about um, how LinkedIn really works. People will frequently say to me, "I don't do social media. I'm not. I'm not into networking out on LinkedIn." I'm like, cool, 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 cool. That's fine. But LinkedIn is not actually a social media platform. It's a database, and I want you to think about how you want to show up, how you want to optimize, how you show up in a database so people can find you. If you were looking at this like a database rather than a social media channel, you would be using it differently. You would be using it for all of the data that you could get out there, right? So I just want to just anchor that for you right now, that it is a database. I'm going to do something real quick here. Sorry. Okay, great. I have white hair, and if I use my blur my background, my head starts disappearing into the back. I just wanted to change that for my vanity. Okay, everybody. Oh, all right. So, what we want to use our about sections for is giving a fast human explanation of who you are professionally, what you do, and what you want someone to understand about your value. And you want to use it in a manner where it gives enough information to a recruiter who's looking at your profile to understand what they should know about you. Okay, we had a question come in already. Thank you for sending in a question in the chat already. How many lines show up in the about section that a recruiter sees before they have to click more? 2 to 3. And it changes whether you're on your phone, okay, or if you're on a laptop, a computer. So it's hard to say how many words or characters will show up, but it's just consider it's like 2 to 3 before they have to click more to see about what you have more in your profile. And you definitely want to have a compelling enough first line so people want to click the more button. Okay. So again, back to this being a database, let's think of it that way. We're going to have keywords, but we're not going to copy and paste our resumes into the section. So it's really going to shape the first impression almost more than anything else on your profile. Okay. So this is where you're going to get that attention, get them to click see more, help people understand the things that you're great at and that you want to do next. All right. So it does more strategic work than a lot of people think. And if you don't have an about section, today, please, before you go to bed at night, at least put a couple of sentences out there. It'll help increase your visibility exponentially because there are a billion people on LinkedIn, and the algorithm shows search results based on one of the first things that is easiest for them to do is kind of like a merit check, which means, do you have these sections completed? And so if there are certain sections you don't have completed, it will ding you and you'll show up lower in the search results if you don't have an about section. So definitely take care of that today. Okay. So I went out and because I have my opinions and I have my experience, which is hard-earned, good, real experience. And I will tell you that the research I did backs up my experience and backs up my opinions on this. That what really matters is showing your value, showing some proof, showing some keywords and some humanity and a sense of what should happen next if someone's out there looking at you, especially if you are in job search mode right now. So I looked at the LinkedIn Help article. I looked at some LinkedIn editorials written by the LinkedIn company. And then Kevin Turner, if you don't follow him, he's a very good resource out on LinkedIn. And I would recommend you find Kevin Turner and follow him for any LinkedIn advice. He's really great in talking about all of the changes and pilot projects that LinkedIn is working on, things they're removing or adding from the algorithm, or new features that they're adding or removing. So follow Kevin Turner. He really shares a lot of that information that sometimes is not very transparent for us. So this is what we need to have in our about sections. And we get weird about this because this really sits at the cross section of what a lot of people struggle with, which is identity, visibility, judgment, and self worth. And so a lot of people wind up writing for approval. You're worried about, oh, sure. There's a question that came in. It is a very common name. Thank you for that question. I'll get you that. Actually, Lourdes, if you're on the call, can you jump in and put Kevin Turner's LinkedIn URL into the chat for everyone so that people can find him easily? And if you don't have it, Lourdes, I'll when I get a moment, I'll send it over to you. Thank you.
I'll get it.
Okay, so this is we become too corporate-y. We take off who we really are. There's we're trying to hit too many audiences, and I think one of the things that people said earlier in the poll questions was, how do I make it sound like me? How do I know my angle? How do I show my value? Okay. What can happen is right now, a lot of people have very respectable paragraphs that say almost nothing memorable about the person it's supposed to represent. Okay. And that is very common. We are not expressing ourselves well because we feel like we're under scrutiny. And so we put something out there that no one can argue with, right? Like, okay, no one can argue with that. However, at the same time, it says nothing freaking about how freaking cool you are, okay? And why you differentiate yourself, why people should pay attention to you. So this is really what we want to change. We don't want this result. And so what we're going to do is go through some tools today to help you define what you do, the role that you want, because this, again, if you're looking for a board seat, if you're looking for a new job, if you're looking to raise your profile for speaking engagements, anything like that, you'll want to use this framework. And this framework that we're going to be giving you today is the same one that we use for everything that we do here at Get Her Hired, okay? And I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. Okay, now it's just my face. Hey, everybody. Okay, let me go grab Kevin Turner's profile for you all. One moment. And this, but as I'm grabbing this profile, his URL, I want to share with you that what we do at Get Her Hired is more about understanding the human being than it is about trying to make something sound good. Okay. So we always start from who the heck are you? Where do you want to go? Okay. If this is who you are and this is where you want to go, let's use who you are to reverse engineer how we talk about where you're heading next. Okay. So we never just start from a job description. We never just take a resume at face value. It's not something that matters. So I just did a free resume review this morning with someone who is in a human resources position. And she had 10 bullets on her most recent role as a human resources leader. Here we go. Let me put this in the chat. Where's my chat? Everyone, chat. Okay, here's Kevin Turner's LinkedIn URL if you want to connect with him. And you know, tell him I say hi if he reaches out to you. Yeah, we're in touch and we've chatted before. I really respect his work and his research. Okay, but back to our methodology and back to this client, potential client I met with this morning. Her resume looked like a list of job description bullets. So it's as if she had just taken the bullets from her job description and dropped them into a resume, right? And then I didn't ask her this, but I can see the signs, okay? She went into ChatGPT or some type of GPT and she asked it to rewrite it for her resume. And here's what happened. What happened was it looked like baby food. Okay. It looked like nothing. It looked so incredibly, what do I want to say it? Overlookable. Like you could, it just was not competitive. It did not really say anything about her. Yes, it was correct. Yes, it was polite. Yes, it was professional, but it didn't tell me anything about her. Okay. So let's go back to you and the methodology that we're focusing on here. Again, LinkedIn being a database, you want to use all 2,600 characters or as many of them as you can, especially if you're in job seeking mode, in board seeking mode, in speaker seeking mode, because you want to be found by the algorithm. All right. It's the whole point of this in the database. We want to be found by the algorithm and we want to sound like a human being and not a robot. So back to what we do here at Get Her Hired, I am going to drop, see, am I going to drop it? No, I'm not going to drop it yet. I'm going to make you guys wait another minute because I'm about to drop a tool for you. But I want to talk about why this matters so much. So if any of you, have used ChatGPT to write your about sections, typically what we see people doing, and I've done some research on this, there's not actually a study, a singular study I've seen, but in the broader research I've done, what I've been able to aggregate is people put in a prompt like, hey, ChatGPT, here's my resume, write a LinkedIn about section for me. And okay, so let's talk about the resume though. The resume is not who you are. The resume is a document that helps open the door for an interview. Okay, it is not there to necessarily be the foundation of how you get found for an interview. All right, it opens the door for the interview, but it has a different purpose than your about section. And so you need to think about some of these other things like what do I do? What role do I want and impact do I want to make? What are my top skills and what are my culture and fit interests? Right away, even if you just take these 5 things I have here and put that into ChatGPT, you're going to get a better result. Okay. And then I would say you need to go on from there because a lot of people are using ChatGPT in the wrong way. They're using it to write for them rather than to help them as a thinking partner. So what you could do is ask ChatGPT to ask you some questions to help you uncover what do I do? Ask it a question to ask you questions of what kinds of cultures should I think about where I'd like to be. Right. So using it in that manner as a thought partner is way more effective than as a writing partner. All right. So what I want you to do is think about this, and I'll be sending this over to you, and anyone who's here, you'll get this as a follow-up to the call today. And if you have questions as we go, please share them in the chat as we go, because we're going to be at our Q&A really shortly. And if you've got questions that are specific to you, again, you can post them. We'll talk about them anonymously. All right. So talk about what you do. And we have a formula for this that I'll share with you in a minute, but it's the I help people achieve results. And this is really important to start with. And so if you think about one of the questions we had earlier was, how many lines or characters do you have before someone has to click see more? I'm not sure, but you definitely want to have a good first sentence. Like it varies between 2 lines, 3 lines. It changes if you're on mobile or desktop, or God forbid, someone's in a conference room looking at your profile on LinkedIn. I don't know, maybe they could see a lot of lines. So let's make them all count. Okay. Tell them what you want to do next. Tell them the functional skills. Okay. And then add some interpersonal information here. For example, enough to make you sound like a human being. So some people I talk to, just actually, I'm not going to reveal a name, but I just had a conversation with someone this morning, and they were sharing with me how they implemented a huge technology automation into a system, right? They didn't talk about it that way. What they said was, well, people were doing this thing manually. And so then I changed the process. And not only did I change the process, I turned it into an online process. And so, really, what she was doing there and the skills she used there were one, being a systems thinker, two, integrating technology, making professionalizing a process that had not yet been professionalized because it had just grown organically within the company, and they needed, as the company scaled, they needed to actually professionalize this, automate it. And it turns out, because she was so proactive and influential, using a tech first approach and thinking about the employee experience as well as the customer experience, what she was able to do was save 60 hours a month in employee time. 60 hours a month. Now, there's a dollar figure you can tie to 60 hours a month. Okay. There's all sorts of things you can do by looking at that. And so that's that, really, that before and after, when someone's in when you're talking about what you do, it's not bragging that she saved 60 hours a month. It is a data point, and it is dollars. Okay. So we want to talk about, I am transformative. I'm a tech first thinker. I am emotionally intelligent, and I have high levels of influence and engagement. I'm a systems thinker that is able to professionalize systems. So all of these kinds of things that I'm saying out loud to you right now could be things that would be in that interpersonal layer. And then, what kind of environment do you want to be in? Do you want to be in one that's a startup environment where it's very innovative, there's a lot of R&D, or do you prefer to be in a company where they're creating a product, or maybe it's manufacturing and you want to be in that type of environment? Okay, so I want to show you an example of how you can move from a corporate hostage note to useful positioning. And so I'm just going to read these out loud. Now, I use the formula that we go by at Get Her Hired to write the opener that's on the right side. So before, if this sounds like anyone out there right now, results driven leader with a proven track record of success, passionate, I hate the word passionate. Ladies, women, use the word skilled. Okay. Wherever you have passionate, please replace it with skilled. All right. Skilled about collaboration, innovation, and delivering strategic outcomes across cross-functional teams. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen that in a LinkedIn about section. It's basically telling me nothing about you, but it's a keyword salad that people believe will signal to a recruiter that they're a good fit for the company. Now, instead of saying results driven leader with a proven track record of success, I want you to look on the right. Okay. I create CPG, and that means consumer packaged goods. So I always think of like the Palmolive company or Johnson and Johnson, consumer packaged goods. All right. I create CPG brand strategies that generate billions in revenue. Now, what that first sentence does, and this is actually one I created for a client. Okay. What that does is it shows you that you're a results driven leader with a proven track record of success without having to say that. That is much more interesting. Okay. And it tells us much more about her and the scale and scope of her work and her abilities before we're even done with the first sentence. Okay. Then I'm looking for a CMO role where I can scale legacy brands to new heights. So she's already getting into the fit of where she wants to be, the direction she's heading in. Her background in CPG strategy combined with her tenacity to try new things makes her a great fit for companies who have a diverse workforce and are willing to take calculated risks. So right away, we're making it so that people can understand how to think about her, how she might fit into the culture of an organization if a recruiter is looking at this. All right. So right away, you can already see that change. And so what I'm going to do right now is we have something we call our tits up script. Okay. I'm going to send this to you in the chat in a moment here, but I just want to hold this here for a moment. It is a tool that we use for just about everybody. And for everything that we do. And our clients may or may not know that we're even using this, but this is a type of thing that we are doing as we're starting to work on the materials in the background. So let me grab this tool for you all. One moment. Look at desktop, toolkit, it's up script, open. Okay, so I'm sending it to everyone. It's a PDF in the chat. Download this, keep this. Okay, this is a gift from me to you. I love you. Okay, so take this, and you can see that exactly what I did with that example I shared went exactly through this. Okay, through these 5 key points: what I do, the type of role I'm looking for, top functional skills, top interpersonal skills, and then your cultural fits and interests. Okay. So this is exactly what we do all the time. Oh, let me go back. Okay. So I am going to stop sharing right now so we can talk about this a little bit more and get your questions answered. All right. So this is how you change from not knowing what to say to knowing exactly what to say. Using this script will really help you build out your story. Not only does it prepare you for writing a great about section, it prepares you for interviews. It prepares you for networking conversation. It prepares you for ways to say, you know, if you're out there in the world and someone just asked me this today, hey, can you send me an intro about you that I can forward on to someone else so that, you know, I can introduce them to you easily, right? So they wanted to introduce me to someone, but they wanted me to provide them with a little narrative about myself to make it easier for them to do that. And you know, hell's yes, I'm going to be doing that, right? I'm going to send them a little narrative about me so that they can understand how to talk about me, how to introduce me, how to help me grow my business. So you want to be doing the same thing here with your about section. So that tits up script is there in the chat for you. And I want to move into your questions. And I saw we had one come in, so please send in more questions. We just had one come in. And the question was, do we use first person? Yes. If you are in job search mode, if you are in board search mode, if you are looking to speak, please speak in first person in your LinkedIn about section. I go full on first person. Some people talk about implied first person. I don't like that. I'm just a very direct writer. I'm a very direct communicator. And so what works for me is using straight up first person. I am what you should know about me. This is what I have done. And so that's what works really well in the about section. Now, if you're nervous about using first person, I don't know if this person's nervous about using first person, but I just want you to reflect upon why that might be. Why might you be nervous about using first person? And is it possible that it's because you are fearful of something, that someone will judge you, someone will reject you? I'm not sure what, but definitely wanted to address that if you have that fear. Someone just asked in our Q&A area in the webinar. So if you want to use the Q&A function, you can, or you can use the chat. Okay, so either way is great for questions. So I'm gonna answer this question. Should we actually say that we are looking, or does that sound desperate? All right, so yes, please say that you are looking. We need to be I think there's a theme here in being so afraid of being judged. And I'll say this: if anyone on this call has been laid off, you've been reduced in force, maybe you're in the federal government and your whole organization was eliminated, because that has happened. And yes, we always offer 20% off to anyone from the federal workforce who's been impacted. So if you are feeling judged or embarrassed or like it's your fault in some manner for being laid off, it is not. Okay. And so if you are looking for a role if you took time out to take care of aging parents, if you took time out to take care of children or family or your own health, okay, let's just own this and not be embarrassed about it. This is why we call it our tits up script, ladies. All right. Because as soon as we say this and we put our shoulders back, we get into more of a physical frame of even like, this is who I am. I'm not embarrassed about this. Yes, I'm looking. So what that can usually look like in an about section is I would put that toward the end, being really clear. You can state it at the top if you're in search mode right now. So let's say you're no longer working at your previous company and you're in full on public search mode, own it. Say it right there, like that example did, okay, from a moment ago. Let me show you that again. Right. And then the other thing that can happen is, right, so I'm looking for a CMO role. That person, we put that right at the very second sentence, okay? And so that's what I want you to embrace for yourself. So the fear there, let's just let that go. I want you to, let me just look, I'm just gonna look before I say something here because I get a little spicy, I know. Okay, okay. So I recommend you write as if you're a mediocre man talking about himself. Okay. So any, like just own it and go for it. You don't have to be afraid of where you are and who you are. Okay. If that offended anyone, I'm sorry, question mark. Am I? I don't know. I think a lot of men out there are not held back by the same fears that women are because we're in this society where people expect us to be kind and nice and quiet and professional, etc. So we had a question come in if we are in stealth search mode. So thank you for asking this question. Yeah. So if you are openly looking for a new job, yes, say it. If you're in stealth mode, what I would do is I would not put that there. What I would use instead is your open to work settings. So if you haven't tried this out, definitely use your open to work settings. And what you can do is set them up and you want to do it. Let me go up to my LinkedIn. Hang on a second, you guys, because I just want to show you this because it's not we work on this every day and it's like obvious to me, but it's not necessarily obvious to everyone, I have found. So let me go. I'm going to share my screen for a moment. All right. So this is my LinkedIn. If I go to the me little icon there, hopefully you can see that. I'm going to click on my down arrow and I'm going to go. Oh, I lied. What the heck am I doing? That is incorrect. Ignore that. What you want to do is you want to go to your open to, or if you don't have it set up yet, you'll have the ellipsis here and you can add, open to work. So I already have it open to work set up. So I want to go into my edit area. I just want to show you this. You can have 5 job titles, okay? And they have to be indexed, which means you have to look for them in the drop down. So if they don't come up in the drop down, just keep typing until you find the type of title you're interested in. For locations, you can do all 3: on-site, hybrid, remote. For your locations, I put United States. Okay. I didn't just put St. Paul. I put Minneapolis, St. Paul. I put Chicago. Locations remote, Europe, Canada, US. I'm actively applying. I recommend leave this on. Don't ever turn this off. Okay. Once you turn this on, I'm open to full-time and contract, and I have this selected, recruiters only. This means that only, and so it doesn't give me that green banner, right? And I have this on like this because even though I personally am not looking for a job right now, I want people to contact me to be on a board of directors. I want them to contact me to find out if I'd like to come consult with them. Therefore, I leave this on forever in perpetuity, and I recommend you do the same as well. So if you don't have that on, do that, especially if you're in stealth search mode. You don't want the company you're working for to know that you're out there searching. But I'll tell you this also, there is freedom in just embracing who you are and being clear that you're always looking for something. And so if someone asks you, oh, are you looking for a job? I saw you, showed up to work in a suit today, and I saw that you updated your LinkedIn about section. It's called being professional. Okay. So if anyone asks you about that, you are being professional, you're updating your materials. You do this as a regular thing. You could just say every quarter, right? We're at the beginning of Q2. Every quarter, I go in and I update my things, and I recommend you do the same. And that's what you can do and help your friend become more professional as well. So you don't need to defend yourself in these situations. This is very normal behavior. And as women, it is incredibly useful to be proactive on your own behalf, because let's be honest, most other people will not be proactive on our behalves, unfortunately. Lourdes, thank you for posting the LinkedIn article on how to set up your open to work. Okay, so let me see if there's other questions. I want to be honest about, okay, so we have a question here. I'm working on putting more thought content onto LinkedIn. Awesome. And I want to be honest about negative things in the workplace without sounding negative. Oh, that's a tricky one. So this person wants to share their thought leadership about negative things in the workplace. How provocative do you recommend I be to get attention, but also be respectful? Okay, so I would say this. If you feel, I'm assuming your job has nothing to do with your thoughts on workplace environments, negativity in the workplace, that you have a job, you're in a function, like maybe you're in finance, or maybe you're in sales, or maybe you're in engineering or IT, right? So you're not like an HR person, right? But you've got these observations about negative things happening in the workplace. If you're in a leadership position, one of the ways you do that is share from the solution standpoint. So if you could be solution oriented, right? You can still be cheeky in the title of your article, but in the writing of your article, we don't want to throw anyone ever under the bus. Okay. So we're never going to directly try to reflect negatively on an organization we're in, but we can be solutions oriented and talk about what we have found to work when these kinds of problems arise, right? And you might find that a way to do that could be through LinkedIn articles, which are longer form than just a post. You could also try a Substack and do some writing there and link it to your LinkedIn. But again, just be professional. We don't want to make it into an HR situation where then it gets complicated, right? So just thinking about that. We had a note come in here. And I think this person was providing input into how to answer that question. So if you wanted to provide more thought leadership in the world, and how could you do that about negative environments? And this person said, focus on the culture and what about culture and environment are important to you. Okay, so again, being solution oriented, sharing your opinion about how culture and environment are important, how positivity in the workplace, how toxicity is not great, and what we can have instead. So that was a really nice add that someone brought to the conversation here. Okay, so I'm going to see if we've got any more questions coming in, because this is your time. I want to answer your questions. Okay, so there are some people on the call here who are in transition. They're in between roles right now. Yeah, go ahead and boldly state it. If you need more tools, we've got plenty of tools over here at Get Her Hired on how to network with other people. And then if you've ever gotten into to the point where you've not networked your brains out and no one's actually taking action, we have a tool for that too, where it's called the ask, right? Like, how do you turn something in from like performative support into actual support by asking straightforward right out for the introduction, asking for the recommendation, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a tool for that. If you're interested, let us know and we can share that with you. So I've got one more thing I recently became re-aware of. All right. And I knew this and then I forgot about it. And I thought it would be, hang on, let me change my screen 1 second, you guys. Sorry. Yeah, someone said ask. So if you're networking and you're looking for a job, ask. Yes, that's what we recommend is ask. Exactly. Okay, so I have we sent you this script in the chat, so hopefully you've got that. You can try to work through this. And then I wanted to give you this bonus here. So I don't know if you know this about yourself, but I recently was out on LinkedIn and realized I had a resume from like 2022 that was lingering out there in the background. Now, recruiters have what's called LinkedIn Recruiter, which is a different app on how they view people's profiles and how they grab the data from people's profiles. And one of the places and one of the areas where they grab data is an area where we've uploaded resumes in the past. Okay. So I just want to show you what this looks like so that you know what the heck is going on here. Okay. So do this with me or, do this later when you get a moment. But I want you to go out to your LinkedIn. You're going to go up to your face like I've got here. Click on my down arrow. I'm going to go to settings and privacy. Okay. Now in my settings and privacy, I'm going to go into data privacy. Okay. And from there, I'm going to go into resume and job application data. Now, I came out here a week ago and I was shocked because I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many old resumes out here. So what you might see a bunch of old resumes out there. I recommend downloading them before you delete them because they could have gold in them. All right. There could be some real gold in those old resumes. So before you delete them, download them, save them, and then remove any other old resumes and upload your freshest resume as a PDF, always as a PDF. Okay. The reason being, we don't know if someone's looking from their phone or from a tablet or what. And so we want the resolution on it to be good. But I want you to see that. I've got mine out here set to off right now. But I wanted you to see that. I think it's really important to know how your data is being shared. And it's also important to know how recruiters are finding you. So, for example, you may have a resume out there from 2019 and you're like, oh my God, no wonder I'm not getting phone calls. I look like an idiot. Not that you actually look like an idiot, but it just is not the most up-to-date information on you, right? And so just know that is another great place on LinkedIn that a lot of people forget to look when we're in search mode to really make sure that the information we want out there about us is the information recruiters are getting, right? So that's really all I have for you today. If anyone is interested in getting a free resume review, or if you want to book a time to talk about your LinkedIn, what's going on with your LinkedIn, happy to do that. You can book a call through our website. That should be really easy to do. We'll spend some time chatting about what's going on and what you need. And so thank you for attending today. This will be up on our YouTube channel in the next few days. And if you know anyone else who needs support, if you know a woman out there, a man out there, a them out there that needs support with their materials, please send them our way. We'd love to work with them. It is our mission, help 10,000 women, thems, and cool men land their next boss roles. Thanks so much for joining today, and we will see you again soon. Bye bye.